4020.
How do you want to discuss Vegas? Do you want to look at...
Well, there's a story we can't discuss, which is...
Well, I've got some streps
that
up.
later.
You can't discuss it. I think we probably need to look at Vegas now, the aftermath. What has it told us, rather than necessarily go over some of the things that have already been said. Is he leaving already?
No, Bob said it's a bit of... It's like you're on Treasure Hunt. Is that better?
I mean, I only watched the one game. I didn't stay up. I'm sure you aficionados stayed up.
Till about
all night,
half
was
past
it?
four. No, Phil did. I did.
I knew you would. I thought it was outstanding. Yeah, it kind of was one of those events where you wanted to be there. I think
that's the thing. If you look at individual results and what they mean, and you can do that, and we perhaps should do that.
Yeah, it's more than
you're missing the point of what was it as an event, and you've got to look at it sometimes through the eyes of a non-rugby league person, and I think there's the basis there for something that's absolutely outstanding.
Definitely, yeah. I'd be interested to see what the cut through is in America. I know it's not necessarily just about that, because a lot of it's about audience numbers on TV at home, revenue generation and all that. I get all that. I'd just be out of curiosity to understand that. And I saw a post on Facebook yesterday by John Ashton, who is the brother of Matty Ashton at Warrington.
Yeah.
He lives in America. He referees, or did referee rugby league here. He refereed there was a nines tournament, was it, I think?
Yeah.
He refereed in that, women's nines tournament.
Yeah.
I know there was an international that was cancelled due to floodlight failure. That's classic rugby league.
That must have been the American Rugby Union. The American Rugby Union cut
the
the
copper
wires.
was stolen from the lights.
American Rugby Union.
But
We know it was
but
you.
the games did go ahead during the daytime.
Did
2
they?
days later.
Good. Yeah, no, and you'll know more about that. About it feels like almost a festival as well around it.
I think you've got to look at the different imperatives of the people that were involved. So what did English Rugby League need out of it? It needed two things really. One is for justification for Sky for the amount of resource they put in it. Did they get a return? Well, we learnt today that it's the second highest amount of people watched that the Wigan Warrington game that they've ever had.
Yeah.
And the game that beat it was one that was in COVID when nobody could go anyway, so they were all watching it on the telly. So that's justification number one. The second one, I think, for the RFL over here, or Rugby League Commercial, whoever's in charge these days, might change next week.
Nigel
Wood. Yeah, I should
change.
have asked. I saw him on Saturday at Bellevue. I should have asked him. He in charge.
The second one is to make those networking connections with people in the NRL, because clearly there are discussions. I think it might even be by the time we go off air that the Ashes are on the verge of being announced. Now, again, I think that should have been on Sunday. I think the plan was to announce it after the Vegas games, while they were all together to announce, and for whatever logistical reason they couldn't. Maybe there's a ground that hasn't been signed off yet, but. Also, any talk of investment in the game, in however that would look, you start those talks somewhere, and all of the power brokers were there. There was an international board meeting, so Simon Johnson was there, Rodri Jones was there, Gary Hetherington was there, Wigan and Warrington were there. You're talking about a power cabal meeting with their counterparts. So, in terms of...
I hope it went better than... Zelensky and Trump.
Was Degsy involved, or was he just there being a bird?
Sent out a search party for him. But he was there, so you wouldn't think it out of the way that he had some input. There were people meeting around the event where significant things could happen, which we probably won't know until a little bit further down the line. So that's what we got out of it. Plus the fact that the Warrington and Wigan fans deserve absolutely enormous credit, because they made the atmosphere, and even the NRL were knocked out. So whatever it was done to achieve in terms of media cut through, in terms of negotiations in the future, it worked for this side. For the Aussies, what do they want out of it? Well, they want clearly to make money out of it, which we're told that Vegas are now falling over themselves to get them to extend and stay longer. I think. In terms again of the New York Times featuring Rugby League, all of that kind of thing reflects really well on the NRL, who've organised. Everything we saw that came back was brilliantly organised. The whole Fremont Street experience, which was arguably the best thing of. It wasn't just 12,000 people turned up. It's having the red carpet. It's having all the banners. It's having all the ability to have the action on the hotels as you're driving past. All of that was done by the NRL. And I think they deserve an enormous amount of credit for that. They are clearly in expansion mode, and again, there's lots of stories being told on the back of this. Wigan and Warrington are now talking about, because it was successful, they may play each other in Dublin next year. Still take a game on the road. So they want more Super League teams to experience what they experienced, but they've now got a taste of how do we sell our brand a little bit further. There's talk that when Vegas finishes, the NRL might stage the opening rounds of their season here in London.
Yeah,
and
you can imagine that being a roaring success.
But the fact that
Bloody
all of
freezing,
that
wasn't
is
it?
now
That's
being talked about on the back of this, this has been a success. Don't look at the results of the games and judge it. Although I must say, if you persevered staying up all night, and who would do that?
I was in tears after the women's game, so I just
The
went to bed.
Penrith Cronulla game was
I've heard that was fantastic.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to just see rugby league at its very, very best and not bits in games, then that 80 minutes was, we were wowing about Wigan and Leigh. To be able to play at that quality in the game number one, and particularly Penrith, who, because they're so successful, and the salary cap works over there, they have to lose some top name players. And you wouldn't have known Jerome Luai played for them. They were seamless, brilliant.
Is there an actual plan, says Paul? Does it mean anything other than a folly? Well, it's not our plan. It's not our event. We just turned up and
It's not a
crashed
folly.
it.
It's not a
It's
folly,
not
is
a
it?
folly in any way whatsoever.
Yeah.
The plan is that this original deal, which is being backed by Vegas Council or whatever they're called over
I
there,
can't imagine they call that.
no,
Vegas Metropolitan District Council.
is a 5-year plan. So it's not a folly. It's happening next year and the year after and the year after, and then in 2029 there'll be a decision as to whether it stays in Vegas or they take it somewhere else. It's not a folly.
A bit like Magic Weekend. We're going to take it to whoever the highest bidder is.
Well, why not? That's what you want to
Well,
get
the event's
to.
already grown in year 2, hasn't it? And probably will grow again in year 3.
The interesting thing in terms of the crowd is that they clearly overestimated year 1. They wanted to make an impression, and the ground itself said that it was just over 30,000, but they announced 40.
That's a very
So-
thing to do in America.
This time they've announced 45, which looked like the actual crowd figure. So, but when you take into account there were a lot more New Zealanders and more Super League fans there, did the same number of American fans go? That's what they need to work out. But it's not about that. It's about getting,
No, I think, from a,
getting
you
some
said,
TV subscriptions. And,
and the interesting thing that you said from a Super League perspective, if you can get the second highest ever watched game in Super League, that's about getting eyes on your commercial opportunities, and from a Sky perspective, that's a product that they want to buy.
Well, more than that, when you go into the room to negotiate with them for the next deal, and that next deal is still going to be the biggest amount of commercial income we're going to get, it's going to be very hard for Sky to turn around and say, we'll give you less because you're not giving us anything in return. You go, well, we've given you Vegas.
Well, what
There's
was telling was that, the start of Super League, the first game in Super League, is on squirreled away on whatever channel, and the Vegas game is on main event.
Yeah.
I think it was on Sky Showcase as well. So anyone who was, there's nothing on BBC One,
The
nothing
Wigan
on 2,
Warrington
nothing on
game,
ITV,
anybody could
nothing on
watch
Channel
was
4,
effectively
nothing on Channel
free to
5.
air.
There it is.
Yeah.
And I also think that Sky saw the potential of this by the amount that they spent in promoting it. And I have to say, I did watch all of the podcasts sent back by Brian Carney and Stevie Owen.
I listened to a few.
They were great. They were great. They were really caught up in it. And it's like you say, you get a bit of FOMO listening to
But
all
it felt
of
like a jamboree, didn't it? The bumping
wanted
into
to be there.
fans and in the shirts and all that. And and I think it felt like that. It felt a bit like an old-fashioned Wembley trip or a Magic Weekend. It had that sort of atmosphere. But hearing thick and Wigan accents down the strip
Thick
in
Wigan
Vegas, thick accents. Is that what I mean?
No, probably.
Something like
Or
that.
both, yeah.
The other
Strong Wigan accents, let's say.
The other thing we do know is that it will be 3 games next year and not 4, and that's not because of the quality of the games. It's because it has been decided that it's too long in the stadium.
Yeah.
Peter Volandis has already said you get there at 1 o'clock, you leave at 11 at night. It's too long.
And I don't think you could go in and out, could you?
No.
Yeah.
But so I think what we do know is it'll be 3 games, and whatever they pick, and the likelihood is it's going to be a proper World Club Challenge back in the calendar, which is fantastic. That would be the only British team going.
Yeah.
So everybody declaring that they want to go. Well, you got to win Super League, I think, to go.
Are we making a major admission that we might be going to Vegas next year? No, because we're not. But that's
we
what
not?
clubs are doing. That's what clubs do.
Oh no! Well, exactly.
Um,
Well, if we win the grand final, we might.
Well, it might be. If I were Jenna Brooks, I'd be making sure that I'm ready for Thursday because Brian Carney's voice ain't going to be right for Hull versus Lee. No way. And he don't want to go to Hull, does he? He's just been to Vegas. He's not going to Hull. To see the old conquering Hull.
The cover, again, I thought having the Australian commentary with Brian Carney as part of it for the Wigan Warrington game worked really well. There was a huge amount of respect for Super League. I mean, we know Andrew Voss likes it anyway.
Yeah, Voss is good. Yeah.
But Greg Alexander was.
But I also thought it was
ridiculously
great to hear the
complimentary.
the Aussie commentators on a Super League game to give it that feel. Yeah, I thought it was well done. Came across well. I saw comments on social media about having a dig at Sky. Really, wasn't it? Saying how slick the production was, and I think that's unfair. I think it's familiarity breeds contempt, doesn't it? You know,
as I've said many times, if Andrew Voss was on every game, you get bored of his
Yeah,
shtick
of
because
course.
he's very good at his thing. But that's because you only expose him, unless you watch the NRL every week, you only exposed to him once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
But if he was on all the time talking about the 3
I
pigeons
also
and pies,
thought
then you get
that
a
the second game, Canberra and the Warriors, Dan Ginnane was clearly also broadcasting to an unfamiliar American audience, and the way he was explaining the game was really actually good. If you're a passionate rugby league fan, and I don't need to be told that, it might have got on your nerves, but I just thought the way that he was almost comparing it to the NFL and telling you what you were watching and why you were watching it, it was really
absolutely.
good, really professional.
I think what was eye-opening, I only watched sort of 10, 15, 20 minutes of that game. Obviously, I know the Penrith game was probably the best game of the 4. The pace of the game, the quality of the game, it's so much better. And Wigan were playing there, Warrington, who are one of our top sides, who were way off the pace, bluntly. But
everybody was desperate to see Wigan and Penrith after that game.
Yeah,
the best of the 2 competitions, which is why I think the idea of it now being the World Club Challenge
I can see that
would
working
make
really well.
huge sense. I think there were other little things, like even having the referees dressed up in an NFL
Yeah, it was a
kit.
great.
I thought it was. Which reminds me, referees wear yellow sometimes. Why are they the same colour as water carriers?
Yeah, no, they've got red and yellow and blue this year, I think, haven't they? They got rid of the green shirt. I know.
I know it's nothing to do with Vegas, but I just remembered it now. So.
Yeah, they should stand out on the field, but when the water carrier's on the field or the
Go for bloody pitch
the
water
trainers on the
Mind
field
you,
so much.
there was an incident at Headingley on Sunday
Well,
of
I
a
get the
referee
stats.
very nearly having a try assist.
I should go to Castleford's
Yeah,
press
I
conference,
reviewed
shouldn't I?
that
Say, Danny, are you going to sign Marcus Griffiths because he does a better job for you than half your team?
Well, I think he was in a position to almost take a pass, I think, at one stage. Then he got tripped over in the same incident and they scored in the corner. He still managed to pick himself up and dust himself off. And
This is not the
try.
criticism of Marcus Griffiths.
No,
it has to be
no,
pointed out.
no.
It's just, it was a funny
No,
moment.
I did chat to him last night about. I think maybe you need to just have a look at what you could have done differently there, because Marcus is very much like me, not probably built for rugby league.
It almost looked like he was the perfect support player for that move.
He was in a great position for the pass. Yeah, too good.
Gav says, it feels funny since Mr. Rimmer's independent investigation said there was no commercial value in North America not long ago, sticking out tongue smiley. It's okay, Ralph's doing a great job at the RFU at the minute, so,
It didn't make sense at the time. It makes even less sense now when you see that if you do it right. The trouble is, we do not have any resource. So we couldn't prop up Toronto.
No.
And clearly the owner ran into issues that partly of which were imposed by us because we asked them to pay for everything. So it was never going to work.
It's a huge missed opportunity, though, Toronto.
But when you think about what we've just achieved in Vegas, and we could have had a Super League team.
Yeah, 10,000 crowd, regular. And I was speaking to a lady only the other week at a business event in Leeds, and she was from Toronto,
How was
and
Sandy?
watched the game. No, it wasn't Sandy. I don't know what she's called.
What?
And
Could be a copyright infringement here. Canadian in Leeds.
It's the only one we're allowed.
She loved it, and I just said it was honestly, as a referee visiting, it was so strange because they used to cheer, and not in an ironic way. They used to cheer the referee as they were the what do they call them, the referee crew or something, when they were warming up, and they'd want autographs and all the rest of it. Like, it was just a completely, utterly alien environment, but they loved it. They absolutely loved rugby. It genuinely was a huge missed opportunity in the sport, in my opinion.
I think the other thing it showed, and again, it's been great sitting here watching it from afar and wishing maybe you should have, it'd be lovely to go one day. There is such a synergy between rugby league and the NFL that rugby union doesn't have, in terms of the way the game's played, the speed of the game, the fact that the ball is so often in play and visible that it just fits. So that what happened in Toronto and what we've now seen of Americans supporting the game in Las Vegas, we need to resource that.
It's one of those daft things I said on the programme years ago, is we should have signed up with the international gridiron people, because our sport is closer to American football and Canadian football than rugby union, and we can share resource and ideas and stuff.
And there were some fabulous tries by Wigan in that game, I thought.
They're quite good, aren't they?
In terms of entertainment value, and being able to pick up things that you could then say, look at what Abbas Smithsky did to get in the corner and get that try. If you can't sell that to an American audience, you can't sell anything.
Brought that photographer's camera as well, which was amusing. And Tyler Dupree, he's pretty much American. He scored the first try. So
And Wigan for
Wigan.
20 minutes either side of half time were untouchable. Absolutely brilliant.
It was probably sobering, I think, for maybe through the teams in Super League watching them, because obviously we know that they'd probably, certainly round one, they didn't fire on all cylinders, probably.
But they're back now.
But I mean, that was a fantastic performance, and I think what they've proven is what they proved last year, was that when it comes to the big games,
That's the thing. And by the same token, what Warrington proved is they're still not able to play in the big games. It's not too late. I mean, clearly the season is only at its very beginning.
It was a league game at the end of the day, but obviously I know it felt a big game. It was a big game from that point of view. It was a dress rehearsal.
They started all right, but when things started to slip away from them, they couldn't hold Wigan.
Welcome to another episode of 4020 Live Improvisational Theatre. You are a stuffed leopard.
All right, okay.
You are Lee's admin, so you don't have to say anything. And I am Warrington Wolves. And I pick up the phone. This will do it, so hit Flask, which is apt. Hello, is that Lee? Why have you put a video of my coach out on the pop with your owner on your social media? Thank you, bye. What the hell was the thought behind that? Apart from getting IMG points. Because, right, I'm going to wear the fans hat here. I've got a hat. My team loses a game. They were 42-0 down. 42, right, so as much as we're going to slag off England's women lady, because that's what we're supposed to do, Wigan and Warrington should be on a level. They should be on a level playing field. Salary cap and everything. They're full-time professionals. Wigan were 42-0 up against Warrington, and then my coach is out on the pop on social media. If I'm a fan, I'm thinking, if they'd won, fair enough. You've won a game. It's 2 points.
Everybody talks about enjoying,
let your hair down or whatever.
The victories. Yeah.
But you've lost. You were completely outplayed, completely outclassed. You scored all your points when Wigan had pretty much given up. If I can say they gave up, I don't know, upset Wigan.
Took their foot slightly off the gas, I think is what I'm supposed to say. I think the thing about that
Optics.
is it's a social media thing. You know, nobody's saying you should or shouldn't do it. You just shouldn't be in the public arena. It detracts a little from what you're trying to, the image that you're trying to promote of professionalism within your organisation, if that gets out.
Matty Ashton's got a try without a boot. That was good. Shame it was, in a losing effort and everything.
It was a great try.
It was.